Okay. Who knows if that's working? Possibly we're live streaming on the Win Win Women Network like we're supposed to. Possibly we're live streaming just on my YouTube.
Huh?
Hey, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Oh, you can't. There's just you and me on here right now. What fell out of the sky, baby?
Yes.
Whoa, a Minecraft box. What's inside it? Oh, a person already came out of the Minecraft box? What the heck?
Oh, I think something's up.
Ah,
Oh,
what
no.
is that?
Yeah. Well, you should like the hint.
What? That's amazing.
Water. 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 It's water.
Oh, you see water in there. That'll be so exciting when we finish putting the stickers on it and it's a whole world inside. That'll be amazing. I love it. Should have brought paper and pen out. I didn't do that. I think Mom's gonna go grab some paper and pen and show people around the house real quick since we're streaming. Possibly recording. I don't think we're recording yet. I haven't pushed the button yet, but I think we're streaming live. Hi, YouTube. I can't see any of the anything if people are commenting. Love that. Love if there is. Love the idea that I'm not just speaking into the void, although I could absolutely just be speaking to the void. So, hey, boy, how you doing? Yeah, I know everybody yells into you. We're just gonna chat today for the yell. I have I have used you to yell into many a time. Maybe just in the last week. And it's only Tuesday. And today we'll talk. We'll just grab a chat with our cuppa.
One.
I don't actually care what's inside your cup. Mine's coffee today, plus my Juggo hydration that I must consume at least two of.
Good morning, I just got up on my feet.
Let's take a little walk. Let me show you a little bit about our life. So, this is not my yard, but isn't it gorgeous? I love the sitting area. Ooh, it's so pretty. I will be working in the yard for fun and recreation because I enjoy that and it's an excellent trade. We're actually this bad boy. Welcome to the Wilson Adventure Mobile. Call it the Wham. We only settled in the other day, so there's tons of flotsam and sundries and such that still needs to. Oh, and the cats are catting. My cat, house cat. House cat's older. Definitely the boss. My cat knows. Yeah. You were raised by older cats, you know better. Come inside. Hi, baby. I'm going to grab some paper while I wait for people to show up and give them a tour of our space. Oh, okay, but I'll be right back out. Okay, he doesn't care. He doesn't actually care. Welcome to our tiny spot. Upon entering, we have these big, beautiful salt lamps. That's not lamps anymore. They're just the salt crystals. This is for washing. Our guardian. Immediately, our first round of books. I have my original Harry Potter, the British version, plus my Douglas Adams, more importantly. Oh, the shelf of hurt feelings. This is where my husband and I come to grab a book and read a chapter so that we can hold hands and hurt each other's feelings in a really healthy and productive kind of way. All of our pretties.
This is my family room.
Whoa. Our wall, our own wall. Welcome to our living room. It's also in a hot mess state. I'm doing things with rocks. Obviously, we like rocks. We decorate them. That's my brother. This guy in there. Yeah. Our burnables, our decoratives, more books because we're that family with all of the books. And there's more books back there behind our awesome sticks. What do you do when you live in a tiny house and you have an obsession with books, rocks, and sticks? A lot of vamping is the answer. That's the additional hang zone. The bathroom is also our garden. On this side, which I'm not going to take you back there because it's too much and I'd have to take my boots off and I'm just grabbing paper. But the little man lives in there. So down below is his world. That's all of his full size stuff. He's got a full size kitchen. He's got his library in there. He's got all of his usable tools are in there, and his snuggle bed is in there. On top is his micro universe where he is the demigod of the whole world, and it's all those little guys and his trains and his planes and his all the things. Kitchen, our copper kitchen. This is our cleaning system. Oh, you guys, I am nerdy excited about this cleaning system. You know your spicy win. So this is Castile soap and water. We have the rose one because it smells pretty. This is white vinegar and water, and this is water. And what you do is you spray with the soap. That's our spray bottle. You just spray it down with the soap. Give it a nice little scrub-a-dub with your chosen scrubby. Then you spray it with vinegar. Now here's the cool thing, because soap and water does what it does. That's the sanitation part, right? It's like it cleans it. But you don't want to leave soap on your, especially on your food stuff, because you don't want to eat the soap. That's not great. Vinegar, however, breaks Castile soap down to its base, all of its pieces, like breaks it down. So you literally just rinse it away. You collapse the cleaning material with this, and then so that it doesn't continue to smell like vinegar, you just rinse it off. But it just washes off because it's essentially water. Things have been so shiny, so I love it. I'm super, super excited about it. Okay, this is our tiny zone here. Welcome to the Wilson's Adventure Space. This is also a TV. It flips all the way around. That's usually in my office. You've seen that backdrop before if you've been with us before. Today we're just going to grab some paper. The bed folds up, bloop, 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 up into that corner, and then the table pops out. Okay, okay. You're welcome to judge all you want in this space. I get it. Also, I feel bad about nothing. I regret nothing, and it's a giant mess, but we fixing it. This side is today's chore. After this call. But I want it done. Okay. That's your little peek at the Wilson Adventure Mobile. Did we just put this one up yesterday? I think she's so cute. Oh, I love the reflex in the ceiling. Well, these mirrors in the ceiling because it adds movement to the space, and I love it. Rocks and doodly bits. That's going to be our thing for tomorrow. Today. The rest of today, one of those. However that works, that's what's happening. Dangers of living tiny. You never know what might be on your steps, such as a Minecraft box and a cowboy. Best part. Nothing. You're fine. Go do you. Okay. We have paper. We have pen. Yes, my baby. I do want to play with you. What did we talk about, though? Since you decided not to sleep last night and sleep all the way through the morning, we're not going to nap because we're going to get you to bed at right time tonight. And since we're not napping, you're not asleep while mom's on her call. So you'll just have to play by yourself. But dad's stopping at the post office and then he's on his way here. So dad will play with you in just a minute, okay? You can come sit at the table with me. You want to bring your stuff? You don't want to bring your guys? No. Should we put the castle on the table so that you can have a castle to play with while we wait for daddy? That's fine. We'll sigh. Okay, it's 12 o'clock. We'll see who all shows up for today's call. I'm not sure. Hopefully they can get in. I think I can see that from here. Make sure I have our participants pulled up so as they show up. Keep them on. Whoop. All right. Take them off. Who needs shoes anyway? Is what I have to say about that. Yay, Aaron's coming in. Hello, hello. We're vamping holy bunches today. So my adorable tiny human, whom I adore so, so much, decided that sleeping last night was just not the jam at all. At all. In fact, he was up until about 8 o'clock this morning, in which at that point he was like, it'd be great, a nap. So he slept from like 8 to 30 minutes ago.
Oh
Thanks
yeah.
to
Oh, so he's ready to do the
nap.
readings.
Yeah, his day's daying. I He's supposed to be asleep while I do my recordings.
Yeah.
That's why we picked this time. So there may be occasional interjections from a
Yeah.
four-year-old,
This
but
is
we've
all
got
good.
him pretty well
Thanks.
contained, I think, with his castle.
No, you're good. You're good. Ah.
It's the
What
day
do you
that
want to chat about
ends in
today?
Y. Oh, where am I?
What do you want to chat about today?
Oh, so I want to talk about the hustle cult.
Okay.
Specifically, I want to kind of talk about what it is, and then I would like your help specifically on identifying the mind monsters that come from this programming. So what immediately comes into my mind is like perfectionism and imposter syndrome. Those would be like the mind monsters, the hustle cults telling you that you're never going to be good enough. It doesn't matter how perfect it is. Work
Okay.
harder, push further, right? That kind of concept.
Yeah.
Um, I'm doing an administrative professionals day tomorrow. My friend April is running this amazing convention here locally. I'm so excited. And what I am hearing already, and the convention's tomorrow, so I haven't even met anybody. But what I'm already hearing in that community is it's literally, and I'm sure that this is speaking directly to your humans, like literally administrative professionals, admins are the ones that are doing all of the things and also carrying the biggest weight of all of those mind monsters from the hustle cult.
Yep. That's true. Yeah.
So I want to talk
Yeah.
about it today with you, and then
Yay.
I'll be able to speak better
I
on it
love it.
tomorrow.
One
Yeah.
of the other things that might play in if you want to address it. I had a
Okay.
fascinating conversation with a psychiatrist, psychologist, like I don't know, one of the two yesterday.
Yeah.
On applying the clarity matrix to the difference between beliefs and behaviors and routines, and how we might have a
Versus
belief that
habit.
is in brilliance,
Yeah.
but the behavior is in monotone, where we're like, I would love to cook dinner for my family every single night. That sounds amazing. But the actual activity of cooking dinner for the family every night is actually monotone, and how there's a cognitive dissonance between the two and what that does to our lives.
Oh, I love that. Speaks directly to hustle cult to me, right? The idea that because you want to do something, if you're not great at it, then it's really hard for you to do because we've been told that. I don't
So
know
you
how
can
much of
build
that
an
is actually
entire
hard.
belief structure in the clarity matrix in one copy, and then build your habit routine action structure in another copy, and then do a direct comparison between the two to identify.
What and where? Yes. Okay, I love that. All right, I'm gonna turn on
Okay.
our recording so we can launch this. I'm streaming. We may not be streaming on WinWim because I didn't see that option. We might just be live on YouTube right now. So say hi to everybody on YouTube before we go live. We're recording live, folks, and then we will not talk about it as if because from this point on we want the recording to feel legitimately live. But we record it live and then restream it just so on the YouTube world you know what's going on. I have no idea if any of this catches or if I'm clearly cool enough to be able to go live on YouTube. Love that for me. I don't think I'm cool enough to have people watching us, but we'll go from there.
I know I can go live on LinkedIn.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know how to do that from here, though. We have to run it through
Oh,
Restream.
yeah, I have no idea. Smart recording with AI enabled. No, okay, good. So I want to record. Start recording. Yes. Okay. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the CARA Method Gets Spicy with Erin Anatovi. Today we are going to talk more about one of my favorite topic, which is funny because it's the thing I like the least, but I actually love to talk about it, which is the hustle cult. And we're going to talk about the mind monsters that come from that and how the clarity matrix can actually help you figure out whether or not you have a belief system or a mind monster pushing you in one direction so you can build those habits. And you know how I love building habits because epigenetically, that's how you gain skills, tools, and mindsets. Like bake it into your genetics. So we're going to talk about all that today. Yes.
Oh
Okay.
man, we got some. That's some good. This is good.
Let's do it.
Oh
Talk to
man.
me. Okay. What
Hmm.
do you think of when I say the hustle cult?
I think of the belief structure that we think that pushing everything as hard as we possibly can will somehow
Yeah.
yield the life that we want and will allow us to retire at an age that we can't actually enjoy anything. So
Yeah,
there's just this belief of push, 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 push so that I can someday, instead
right.
of push, enjoy, push, enjoy, push, enjoy.
I heard someone say retirement savings is insurance for hating your job and someday being able to stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's powerful. Because like in the stuff that I talk about with the building a life you don't need a vacation from, because
Yes,
retirement's too, everybody's like, oh, build the life, like life for it. We are, I don't think in this timeline that we're in, where it's instant gratification and I don't think we can think that far ahead. I can't think that far ahead.
That's good.
I'm thinking to Friday, and if I am exhausted and
I just keep.
unhappy,
I just keep.
I
I'm
think
back
that should be the
now.
flag,
That's
not
all.
later. If you're just like working for a vacation, what are we doing?
yeah. Like really, this goes to the work-life balance conversation. You cannot balance your work with your life because, and hear me out on this, you don't even start working. Most people, okay, I was a weirdo and I tend to hang out with weirdos, so probably you also started earlier than the average human. But on average, most people don't work for the first 1 or 2 decades of their life. And then they dive in somewhere in their second decade. And for the third, fourth, and fifth, even into the sixth decade, they are like, I am changing the world. And then seven, eight, nine, they're also not working. So your work is literally just this middle blip in your life and not even the entirety of it. So if you want to balance that with your life, you got to give up a lot of your, like all the rest of your life during that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you think about the messages that we send to our children, if you want to throw out generational trauma into,
Mhm.
throw that into the mix of if we deprioritize our friendships and our people and our children and our well-being and our health and all of these things for the job, uh, mm-mm. There's something
Yeah.
really, really disconnected there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we are society, I don't know if as a society we are prepared to look at that. Because it's a very, it's an American philosophy. You do see it in some other cultures of the world, but then the cultures that kind of have this all figured out, this is not something that they do. This is a very unique thing to the American culture.
I don't know that I believe that that is true.
No?
Um, I don't. So Okay, tiny soapbox. So I love that World Talk and Globe Talk came out of the blip where Americans were no longer on TikTok. Love that they discovered there's literally a whole other world outside of America, the same way that Americans have to discover that. Love, love, love every part of that. And do I believe that America took the unrealistic expectations of every single culture like a giant mixing pot and raised all of them to an unhealthy, toxic level and then started to promote that via the propaganda machine in Hollywood? Yes. Yes, I do. I do believe that part is absolutely the Americanization. Yes. However, all of these systems of belief, all of them, from honor your parents to do your best, all of these came from global communities. Like all that is why American culture is so easy to consume because the world has been groomed by this hustle cult that has extreme devotion to goals or a person or an object, and it replaces your belief systems and adds in rituals that forces you towards that extreme devotion. And then they have authoritarian control and isolation of the members and a charismatic leader and the suppressions of any questioning or dissent. All cultures do that. There is that in everyone. Did we take it to a melting pot extreme toxic? Yeah, yeah, we did. But that's because it was already there, right? It's
So,
not like Americans invented it.
so it's a pretty interesting. There's a lot of dynamics that kind of feed into this pool, and I'm curious if we are on the cusp of creating something so radical that it does indeed change things looking forward, or if we're going to panic and pull back into the familiar, which is less healthy because we have AI that is taking work and shaking it up like a box of Legos. And we have this new discussion around balance and harmony and work and remote versus in person versus all of these dynamics that are now at play in this soup over here. And then we have people who are saying, well, we're gauging what kind of work we actually want to do. And then you have another entire group of people who are saying, but do we actually need money? Or can we barter and trade and do this over here that allows us to just exist in the world that we want to create, right? Even the stuff that you're doing with the community work. And we're asking these questions that don't really have answers to them. But this concept of 8 to 5, I think, is on its way out if we don't panic.
I think even if we panic,
Yeah.
I mean that is my belief system based on what I am seeing post pandemic, and I base that off of history and suffragette movement, right? Or even slavery, or literally any of the social movements where people were like, "We're not going to keep killing ourselves for you. That's not working for us. Great that it's working for you. Love that for you. You kill yourself for you, but I'm going to stop doing that." And we just had, for better or worse, a pandemic. And during that time, we discovered, like the same way that America was discovered, right? We discovered that all businesses are made out of people, and those workers are essential for keeping our entire world going. We told them, you're essential.
Mhm.
Last time we did that with women, they went into the workforce and we said, you're essential for keeping our entire world to going. And then the men came back from war and they're like, so you're basically go back to the kitchen. And they're like, you basically can suck it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that exact same movement here. And this is why I wanted to talk about the hustle cult, like really this conversation, because if we can acknowledge that there is a difference between this hustle cult in business, in work, in life, versus a culture that can mirror a lot of the same levels of success, but without the extreme devotion that says you don't sleep, you don't eat, you just work for someone else because they told you to, they commanded it, and they control you. So you go do what they said because they're going to hopefully pay you something that might be worth your time, kind of.
Yeah.
And we can. I mean, and so simply, in my opinion, my BS is that this shift is actually redonkulously simple. We just have to, the people in control are going to have to say, actually, yeah, this will benefit us as much as it will benefit our everyone else. Like, because it
Mhm.
will. We've seen that. We have literally already seen that happen. So, authoritarian. Okay, I'm going to go with just the basic four for the cult. Like what makes us a cult versus a culture, right? So hustling, I don't think hustling is bad. I think hustling as a cult is bad. So that's that authoritarian, like the command and control. So if you let that go and you start working towards coaching or towards inclusivity or into diverse emotional intelligence, then you're going to not have authoritarian control. You will have a community, right? You lean into culture instead of isolating your members rather than allowing for sick leave.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're giving me permission to be a meat suit? Thanks for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
If you allow your people to go be where they feel the best, and some of them will want to come to offices, officers are never going to go away. Like, I understand that there's this whole question. It's not. Some people love that. Some people need that. Some people thrive on that, but not
Mhm.
everybody does. And there is space for both of them. Now you don't have to isolate them. Now you can allow them to find where they belong rather than trying to make them fit into your little boxes. And the charismatic leaders, look, this is the one that stresses me out the most because I am charismatic and I legitimately, on a regular basis, this is why I push self care so hard because I do not want to have a cult of personality following me. You better be sleeping. You better be hydrating. You better be
Mhm.
putting yourself first.
Mhm.
But if we do that, if we lean into leadership at the self level first, it doesn't matter how charismatic anyone else in the world is because we have what we need and we can find where we belong. And then five whys. Like literally, you and I have done this so many times. The five whys of five hows. I go down and you and up, you go up and then down. Same thing though. When you allow for people to ask you why and you provide the whys and hows, you suddenly have completely eliminated the suppression of questions and dissidents, and you have allowed innovation, growth, and application.
So I want to turn that just a little bit. You and I, we definitely live in our own little bubble that
Yes,
we really like. I love my little bubble,
yes,
and we share the bubble of conscientious leadership.
yes,
The majority of people, though, are in environments and situations and statuses that are simply not conducive. And with the like my collection of young adults, they understand that like for them the work is completely separate from their life, right? Then they're at
yes.
work working their retail whatever job, like that is the thing, and then there's no blend, there's no I'm investing a piece of myself because they're working on other dreams, they're working on other things. So when you are there in a retail environment and you are folding clothes and answering phones and doing this and doing that, this is the majority. And they are subject to the rules that exist within that environment that
Certainly.
are not conducive. And when you go to a drive-up window and you order food, right, that person, it's probably not their dream. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We have to reach those individuals too, but then is it essential? Right? Because like we're going to be placing orders with robots here shortly. We already do in some situations. So all of those jobs, right? What happens? Do we actually need them, or are we on that cusp of creating something that I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah. And I don't know that anybody does. I think of the Jetsons right now a lot, like a lot, a lot. You know, his George's whole job was to go to space Lee sprockets and push buttons. Like that was literally the machines did everything. He just pushed the buttons and he got paid very well, enough to house and take care of two teenagers and a wife and a robotic maid and all of their fancy keep it up with the neighbors stuff, right? Like that sounds awesome. And he did enjoy going and like the job was menial, but the work was really good. He saw how he was attached to the company. He got to hang out with his coworkers. Those were friends that showed up within the storyline occasionally. And I think that especially those of us who are spicy, recognizing that in those menial jobs, in that service space, you actually have, and this is directly against hustle cope programming because you actually have massive impact
Mhm.
beyond anything that you could possibly know because humans need people, and when they are in places of high stress they go to have a nice meal or go shopping. It is a tracked way that humans function.
Mhm.
And if you can enjoy your work, even if you don't like the job, but you can enjoy the work part of it, if you can find a way to make sure that whatever work you are working aligns with whatever future goals, then you don't have to split your personality. You get to show up fully as you. And when that happens, I mean, we've heard the stories. I've I have watched as people have come in clearly distressed, right? Like you have no idea what's going on in somebody else's world, but we can tell when a human is in distress. And I have watched servers and clothing folders and burger flippers look at another human being in those moments as a human being and completely turn their entire day around. I know of someone who was just a server. That's it, just a server, but because she took an extra 5 minutes at a table, recognized a human was in distress, and said, you know what, I'm going to grab you a water, and when I have a break, let's have a chat. And that person did not commit suicide that day. That was their entire plan. This was their last meal. They had already written the letter to everyone. This was it. And because of that, that person is alive today. Just a server.
Mhm.
When we stop thinking of people just as their job,
Mhm.
the hustle cult can't control you because the job is just the nuts and bolts of what you are doing in that moment. And that's going to change a lot in your life. If my life is any indicator, sometimes by the hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Is
the
there
work,
room for every single person to individually be chasing the thing that makes them the happiest?
yes,
Is there room in the world
yes,
for that? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
I hope there is. I want to see that place. I want to see that world. But I wonder.
I think absolutely in the world is there space for that. Absolutely. Now, is there space for that in the human heart? Not everybody.
Mhm.
Tangibly, there are a lot of people who just, a lot of humans, you're just this, that we attach some judgmentalness about who that human is based on the job or work or title that they have, which is ridiculous. I mean, literally
Yeah.
ridiculous. If we're gonna go biblical, Jesus was a carpenter, definitely gonna be one of them look down positions. That's, to
Yeah.
equate somebody's worth based on what job they have is hustle cult programming. That is why other people do not believe but that is because they're going to tell you not to do it because they don't believe that they can do it. That doesn't mean you don't go do that.
Yeah. And a lot of this is set very early on. Um,
Before
you
you're
know,
5 or 6 years old. Yep.
yep, 10, 11, 12. And I I had the privilege, the honor of doing a podcast on Friday, 2 hours with a fellow in prison. He runs his podcast from prison. And that 2 hours, it'll probably end up being about 3 episodes. And I'm really excited to see what comes of it. But one of the very interesting pieces of the conversation is that for his story and also many of the others that are with him, homeless at 13. And as he mentioned, he went from 6 square blocks of a concrete jungle that he had never seen the outside of to another concrete jungle. And having not seen anything outside of that, and he's now in his 40s, I think, he still has never seen anything outside of that. And when you have these situations where people at 13, 14, 15 are not presented with any other options, the beliefs, the structures, everything that is created, you make your decisions based on your environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, took my brain and ran it through a shredder.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why I encourage travel. This is why I think that diverse emotional intelligence is so important because the more perspectives you get, that literally will explode your world. Yes. But
Yeah.
that is 100% factual. I worked with some public defenders once upon a time, and they had a list of student youth cases that had come through where they kept the list of their names because just based on their names alone, they knew that these children would be coming back, right? That they are so young, there's no reason that they themselves would not have the possibility of great change, but because of where they came from, because they only knew their little 6 block radius and what was told to them and what was groomed and what was culted into them. You know, things like her name was Crystal, middle name Meth. Like you're pretty much hosed from the get-go with a name.
Mhm.
Like everybody knows.
Yeah. Yeah.
But does
Hmm.
it have to be that way? No. Is it that way? Absolutely. Yes. That is a tangible reality for a lot of people in the globe, and not just in the prison system, which absolutely grooms and conditions people to continue to be in that cycle. That is a systemic thing. Yes. Yeah. Gross. True. Gross. But everywhere. I mean, you see this in one of my collaborators and clients just came back from this incredible trip to Belize, and is constantly shook by how what would be paradise isn't paradise when it's so uncomfortable. And for the locals, it's not often a paradise. That's a tourist thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And absolutely. Does that mean there's not space or ability for their dreams to come to fruition? No. Nope. That does not preclude the other. However, will they need assistance in getting their brain to get out of those patterns? Will they need someone to hold their hands and hurt their feelings while they shake up these belief systems and take the time to unwrite that inside themselves so that they can find what they might actually want to go do? Yes. And it is
Mhm.
a ton of work.
And this
It is
this
literally
kind
easier to
of
just go do a job.
this ties to the because the belief structure, right? If you want to truly change something, you can change behaviors, you can change routines,
Mhm.
but you also have to change the belief structure. And is it genuinely possible to change the routine without changing the belief structure, or can you alternate? Like, can you change the routine, which then changes the belief structure, or do you have to change the belief structure in order to change the routine?
I have an answer for that.
Okay.
I have a science answer for that because I asked
Oh,
that question a whole bunch, right? And I
okay.
wanted to know epigenetics, right? Because this is an epigenetic question. So the answer is yes, which is not helpful because you asked two questions, and the answer is still yes. And here's how that works, right? So, when you are looking at your belief systems and behaviors, right? When you are matching your intent to your behavior and making sure that you are thinking, speaking, behaving in an aligned kind of way, you absolutely can work on either end. You absolutely can. You can change the end result, which will impact the belief system that it's held at. You can work at the belief system and change the end behavior. Either one works. The hard part comes in on if you are looking to unwrite and then relearn, because that takes a lot of time. That really
That's
requires
what you've
completely
mentioned. Like, if it's a 10-year habit, it's going to take 10 years to alter. Yeah.
yeah. And then 10 years to build a new one. I don't have 20 years. I don't have 5 minutes. I'm impatient. So, which is why I asked this question. I was like, no, there's got to be a faster way. Like, literally, this thing is making up this whole thing. You can't tell me it can't figure it out faster than that. So it can. And it is when you do the dual work, it is really working on either end. So you look at what is the belief system that is causing this behavior and just acknowledge it, not to change it, not to adapt it, not to, but what is it? Just because awareness allows impact. And then you can choose which side you want to work on. Is this a belief system that actually came about absolutely for my better best while I was in a trauma drama situation and it kept me alive? Cool. I probably don't want to completely unwrite that belief system. However, I can redirect, I can shift that behavior from here to here. And suddenly we're on a completely different trajectory, right? Same thing on the other side. If you find you have this behavior that you're like, oh, I mean, it's not generating results. It's not generating the best results. I would like better results. That's the one you go back and you're like, okay, where did this come from? And what is that little tweak, right? As little as instead of saying free, you shift it to complimentary, and suddenly the same thing that you've been offering for free for 6 years, and now that it's complimentary because your mind has shifted around it, suddenly it becomes like hotcakes. Same behavior, but since you shifted this teeny, and not the whole belief, just a little of it, that
Mm-hmm.
behavior actually generated, it now aligned.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I push alignment so hard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And the difference between the belief and the activity or the routine, that there we can often have a separation between those on the macro and micro, like
yes.
for life altering things of I don't think I can do this, to the activity of actually doing the thing, down
Mhm.
to something as small. And this was a conversation I had yesterday about I believe that I want to prepare a healthy dinner for my family every single night. I believe that this is something that I would be good at and that I would enjoy. But the actual execution of that may not necessarily align. And what happens if we have an entire belief structure that does not actually align with our activities? kind of
How about
creates. Mhm.
when we have beliefs, because we all do this, and this is my BS, I guess I should start with that. My belief system is that we all have that we all have these deeply held beliefs that this is the way, this is, and and my trigger is if you think that this is the way, if those words come into your brain around something like, I believe that the right way to take care of my family is to feed them a healthy homemade meal every day, you're already established that that's not you. Like literally those words. So you're like, the way or your way? Oh, the way. Cool. Let's unpack that. Who told you
Mm,
that? Where did that come from? Yeah. Do you align with that? Do you genuinely feel that that is, oh, no? Oh, what do you want to find your way? Yeah, cool. Let's do that. I think we all have these. I think that's part of the
mm.
hustle cult, right? I love this. So now we're getting into the mind monsters and the clarity matrix, which just teasers for everybody. If you have not seen our other things, and if you have not already connected with Aaron and the Sapphire community, what are you waiting for? Okay. Shameless plug there. Okay, mind monster. So this is CARA method stuff. This is how I refer to the belief systems that are in our brain that limit us. Not because I think that they are bad, but because, like monsters, we get scared, we get held up. Rather than becoming friends with our monsters, we tend to hide from them or try and ignore them. I don't know about y'all's brain, but that seldom works in my brain. And we've already talked about two, right? The I can't or not enough monsters. I'm not enough, it's not enough, there's not enough. Those are two big. I can't, you can't, we can't, it can't. Those are giant monsters. Where we literally believe, like deeply believe that I can't get out of my current situation because
Mhm.
for any number of valid reasons. This is this weird part. Like the reason you believe you can't get out of something is probably really valid. Probably a reinforced belief system that you have attached so many experiences to be like, see, this is why I can't. And if you could, you would find ways that you could and reinforce that. Like
Yes.
literally, it's literally that simple. Simple being not easy,
Yes, and then those two. Sometimes the simple things are the hardest because
usually.
you have to
Yeah,
you have to alter. Yes. And
yeah,
and
insultingly simple.
where I'm very intrigued about the application of the clarity matrix, which is has discovering so many interesting applications for it. But one of them is in this concept of brilliance, which is proficiency and positivity. And when you have a belief structure that is grounded by proficiency and positivity, that you believe you are good at it and that that activity is something that is positive for you or positive for your life. And yet, if your activity is in what we call monotone, which is proficiency and negativity, then you have a disconnect there where you're telling yourself that this should be a positive experience when it is actually a negative experience. So then you have to justify that inner critic of why it is that you feel that this is a negative experience when you're telling yourself that it should be a positive experience. Mm.
I love that. To me, what I heard in that is where we are and are not giving ourselves permission to be honest with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use your cooking one because I think I have literally within the last week been having literally that conversation with myself. So I found that incredibly fascinating. So here's what I know. I love cooking. I know that that is true. I very much enjoy all of the cooking. I even don't even have a problem with the prepping. And I love mixing ingredients together and seeing what comes out on the other side, seasoning them, aligning to the flavors of the people around me. I love every part of that. And I really do believe that if I were making fresh, good food every day, wholly bunches of my life would be better. Also, though, I hate prepping in the moment. I don't mind prepping as long as I have a moment to set aside and then it's all prep, because if I have to prep while I'm cooking, It slows everything down. I'm already irritated. Now it's not fun anymore. If I have to do it every single day, do you know how much time that takes?
Yeah.
I work in restaurants. I know how much time that takes. Also, I don't want to do that. I have no desire to give up 3 to 6 hours of my day just for food prep and cooking and cleaning. No, no, I don't. I don't want that. So what I do know now, I do now know, having had these conversations with myself and looked for the alignment and where am I actually in brilliance and where am I saying it, but actually irritated by having to do in that monotone. What I realize is if I have a day where I prep, where I do all the grocery shopping and get all of the prepping done. Ooh, and here's the caveat. I don't do the grocery shopping. Somebody else brings me the groceries and I will prep them. If I have to do both of them, they will not both get done. I now know that about me. Good thing to know. But if I have a whole day and I can do all the prepping, I can get it all set up, I can get my fridge all tidied up, most of the time, that already means that there is fresh food that you can just go snack on in the fridge. And therefore, most of the meals are covered. And
Yes.
I can curate two in my current life right now, because I just have the two boys. I can do about 2 meals a week, and that feeds us with all of the rest of the prep for the entire week. Suddenly, it's a 3 hour task that handles the entire week rather than 6 hours a day. And I get to be that lady who likes cooking and feeding her family healthy, fresh food.
So you changed the behaviors into something that fit instead of the expectation that is pre-existing.
Yeah.
Modified
What
the
did I
activities
actually
to
like?
change. Mhm.
Yeah.
That takes a tremendous amount of self-awareness that can be a lot of work.
Yeah. Permission to be
Mm.
honest with ourselves. I find with my clients, I'll just speak with my clients. My clients, that tends to be one of the hardest places. They absolutely know. They know, and they know, no, right? Like they didn't just know, but they know, no. But doing it, but giving themselves, like they know if they just spent 20 minutes every morning journaling, that they would be so much more clear headed and aligned for the day. And they will put 6 chores in front of being able to do that, even though the chores are not going to make them more aligned because they won't give themselves permission to do what they need because somebody else has a need that should come above theirs. That, that's hustle cult programming.
Or one of the quotes that a therapist way back said, "Am I lighting myself on fire to keep you warm?"
Yeah, stop that.
Mhm.
Buddha said a tea light can start an entire wildfire without diminishing itself. Why can't
Mm.
we?
Mm. Yeah.
All right, Buddha,
The alignment,
throw it out there like, oh,
you have to have that, and the awareness and the bravery to examine that, the expectation and the whole, this is what I've been told, so this is what must be. Um,
clearly, obviously.
I been marveling over this dream that I had a few nights ago. That's just like tying my brain in a bunch of knots. Because I believe the dreams have quite a bit of truth to them. It's a lot of the subconscious stuff,
Your
and
brain. Yeah.
true. And the general cliche is that when we are in a dream and find that we are not wearing anything, that that is something that's like, oh my God, like terror, right? So I'm at a speaking event in this dream, funny, and I'm super concerned about what it is that I'm going to say. I have my speech prepared, but I'm wondering how it's going to land. Like, is it going to be the things? And as I'm waiting to get called onto stage, I look down and I realize, oh, we're not actually wearing anything. Huh. And in the lucid-ish moment of the dream, I'm like, this should probably be bothering me a little bit more than it is.
For someone else in the room, at least. Yeah.
And I was not bothered by it. And I was wondering why I was not bothered by it, because I'm like, everything I've heard says that I should be bothered by this. But I'm not. And so I'm still wondering. And then I was like, oh, calling up, and I get to go up on stage and walk up, and I'm not wearing anything. And I'm like, I am completely fine with this. I'm like, if you don't like it, then that's your problem, not mine.
Look at that power at being exposed
Holy
publicly and
cow.
like ready for it.
I was like, there's some alignment there. And then in the dream, someone from off stage comes and gives me a blanket and is like, if you would just please cover up, that would help. And I'm like, fine. Does this make everyone feel better?
Whoa, that's deep. That's your brain being like, you might be ready to be out there, but you might also get some pushback. How do you want to deal with that? Ooh,
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was I
wow.
mean I've been running through that one quite a
Here
bit. Quite a
you
bit.
Yes.
go. Now
Because it's like I'm in that moment apparently of, oh, you don't like what I have to say? You don't like who I am? You don't like I have nothing to hide. Here is me. Here, let me cover myself to make myself more appealing to you. Let me cover to make this more comfortable for you, not for me. Oh man.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm in a very interesting mental place right now.
I I love all of the recognition there. For me, that aligns so beautifully with all the work that you are doing. You are absolutely advocating and speaking out in a space where other people literally don't want to go, let alone have to look at the naked truth of what is in that space. They would much rather that it look appropriate or pretty or have a nice packaging to it so it's easier for them to consume.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm just not having it right now.
Go for it. Yeah, that sounds like a you thing. Love that for you. Go deal with that. Yeah. Okay, I added that to my mind monster. So here's what I've got so far. The can't mind monster, the not enough mind monster, either for ourselves or others or in our lives. The perfectionism mind monster, the imposter syndrome mind monster, the way mind monster. That's not the way. And I have to change for you mind monster, right? Which this is why I believe that it's not an American thing, that this is a global culture cult, that we took these cultures and we turned them into these nasty, toxic cults. Because changing for others, adapting yourself to move more conveniently through society and different situations is actually a great thing. It's a skill that allows you to know that you are going to behave differently in the bathroom than in the bedroom, than in the living room, than at the grocery store, than in someone's house versus a business. And that is tangibly true. Each space has its own rules. And if you as a human cannot figure that part out, navigating those rules is that much harder. And so we absolutely want to adapt for others. That's a skill, but to change, to decide that we have to change who and how we are for someone else, that's where it becomes the monster, right? So if you would, I'd adapt to you. That is what that monster is trying to help you do. Unfortunately, it was absolutely created by this idea that you have to do things for everybody else with this extreme devotion to put yourself last and everyone else first. So you have to change everything about yourself, figure out how to fit, and don't go find where you belong. No, go fit. Go fit into that box. Tuck it, chip it, cut parts of yourself out if you have to, but get up in there.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm not having it.
Mm, mm-mm. I'll
No, I
adapt
don't want
all
that
day,
for,
but
and
change,
then the people, no, for everybody that I work with and see and spend time with, I don't want that for them either.
yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. especially since we absolutely know that everybody does belong. I get that we don't necessarily like that. There's a whole wave of humans that are really, really struggling with the idea that other people belong in their spaces because they disagree with something about them or their way, or I get that. And it absolutely is triggering all of that neurotypical illness, below the line, fixed mindset stuff where humans tend to spend the majority of their existence in that survival space. You really have to diverge and lean into wellness and into a growth mindset to get out of that space. And that's work.
It's a huge amount of work. Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Worth it in my BS, always worth it, never easy.
Mm-mm.
Usually simple, never easy.
I think
So
it's
I'm going to tie this in.
yeah, all of that stuff because we're seeing that all now.
Yes.
The masks are becoming more apparent. I think we have individually, we're seeing the things that we didn't necessarily want to see. We're having to face truths that we didn't want to face and realities that existed under the surface that are now becoming more prominent. And
Yeah.
it's calling a lot of things to the line.
It literally is challenging the cult concept rather than a culture, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's really what it is. Are you programmed by, I call it the hustle cult, but it could be any kind of title, the command and control way of existing in that fixed survival state, right?
Mhm.
That is the hustle cult. And that grooms mind monsters that are in literally in your own brain telling you how wrong you are.
Yes.
They're like literally a part of you that's mad at you about being you. And we
Right.
are like good
We're
with
such
that? No.
complicated species.
Ah.
Just to ourselves, bro.
And what we know with, I mean, just your data points with the clarity matrix only through the Sapphire community, like just which is this much of a global space, right? Just in that space, you've already seen the data points of what level, how here's the new language I'm using. How much allowing humans to figure out where they fit ups their productivity without that loss of performance time.
Yeah.
Because really, performance, your performance at work has little, if anything, to do with being productive. We would like it to. Most businesses are like, no, that's why we're doing the performance review. Really? How productive is that?
Yeah.
Not at all, right? Like literally you lock
Confirmation.
yourself in an office for
Is
a
that
month.
confirmation bias? Is that the right
Yes,
term there?
that it will often lead to confirmation bias and you have a conversation and then you put it back up on the shelf for a year and nobody has any discussion. So it's not perf you may perform based on that, but you're not getting productive results. And if
Yeah.
you would like to have productivity rather than high performance teams, if you would like to have a highly productive team, which in my experience, most businesses, that's actually what they want. Then you have got to bring the woo woo back in. You've got to stop saying, leave all half of your humanity at home and then still manage to somehow
Do it.
show up at 100%.
Yeah. You can't. It's not possible. Or it is
On the
possible,
clarity
but
matrix.
at the sacrifice of who we are.
Yes. And our time, our energy, our well being.
And
This is
the
what leads to overwhelm. This is what
collective
leads to burnout.
the collective belief structure is that that is necessary for the world to exist. So the collective, we need to alter this belief structure. So either we alter the belief structure and then change the behavior to go with it, or we change the behavior, which then alters the belief structure. But collectively, if we
We got
believe
to
that
do that
this
work.
has to be, that we cannot be productive and also balanced, and that we cannot embrace our humanity, that we have to have split personalities, that we have to engage in this or that or the other, that misalignment These are the
And this
hard,
is
these are
why
the hard
we do
questions.
personal leadership. Like literally why you have the clarity matrix. Because if you don't do that inner work, if you don't follow your own charismatic leader, not the ones out there, this one right here, and figure out where does your joy live? Where does your monotone live? And regularly look at that, right? Look at your life as a life where you do have a job and the work that required to do the job because you're looking to fix something in your life, your future, your community. And when you work in that kind of alignment, it's going to change, it's going to adapt. It's no less work than what you are currently doing. It just feels better and
Mhm.
you're less exhausted by it.
What an
And
amazing
when, ooh,
we can build.
and when you are exhausted, you give yourself permission to take a break.
No, really?
I know. Over the top. Yeah.
This is the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
want to
it's
create.
doable. So my BS is it's doable. I
Mhm.
mean, and you've seen it. Like I know that this is your BS because you have worked with people with that clarity makers and watched as their stress levels went down, not their activity levels, not their productivity levels, none
All
of
of
that,
that
but their
goes
stress,
up.
their over.
Yeah, goes up. Your profitability goes up. Your productivity goes up. Your turnover goes down.
Stop hindering the machine and let the
Ah,
system work.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. It's how we
Okay.
make things happen.
I feel like, okay, I'm going to tie this all up. So we started with hustle cults, the extreme devotion to a person, object, or goal with all of these BS and rituals that come with it, right? We see that with the authoritarian command and control way of being that has dominated the workforce for generations. We see that in the isolation of all team members, whether it is that you're not allowed to call in sick, or even if you have sick leave and you're allowed to use it, that they're going to still stink eye you because you had the audacity to not come to work sick and make everybody else sick. How dare you? And now you feel isolated and alone and you're not enough and that just feeds that. And then you have these charismatic leaders who have these great visions and they're like, come do with my stuff. But because of this hustle cult programming, it doesn't matter if they're even the best of people because there is this undercurrent of come do for me at the expense of you, even if they're not asking for it. They are. They are. Like, because it's there. And then we suppress any questions or dissidents. And we're seeing a lot of that right now. How dare you ask that question? In business, that is the biggest complaint of the leaders that I work with is that the team is so combative.
Mm.
You wanted problem solvers? They're gonna ask questions. They kind of go, can't, otherwise you're solving the wrong. You wanted this.
Yeah.
And that leads to these mind monsters, these deeply held belief systems that literally almost in my world manifest as characters in your brain who constantly tell you whatever it is that you are doing is wrong and not aligned even when it feels so good. Like they just yell at you. They tell you you can't. They tell you that you're not enough or there's not enough or it's not enough. That leads to that perfectionism, that imposter syndrome, the belief that you're not doing it the right way and that you have got to figure out how to change everything about you for somebody else.
Light myself on fire to keep you warm.
Yeah. When in reality, what we know, what we tangibly have data and evidence for generations on, and has so much historical data. The Maslow's hierarchy of needs came from the idea that obviously it's genetically human to have hierarchies. And then he went and experienced some other culture and was like,
Oh.
oh, so we're the assholes. That's cool. That's cool. All right, let's change this whole thing. Yeah, it turns out we need food and water and shelter and safety, and that's actually the hierarchy, not the people. Weird, crazy.
Who knew?
So we logically know that it's a cult, not a culture, and we have to make that shift. And it seems so heavy because it's the way it's always been. This is what is done. This is the way it is. And there are so many people who are trapped in their 6 block by 6 block space that have no other points of reference,
Mhm.
or that was true, except now we have smartphones. I mean, we have people burning children at the stake as witches and recording it on their smartphones. Like, you got access. It's not a matter of access at this point. It's a matter of leverage and understanding.
Yeah.
And that is where I think the collective comes in, that we have to decide that we support cultures, but we're done with this cult way of being. And it starts with that internal leadership. You have to do the inner work to get those external results. They're going to go hand in hand. Even if you do the external change, but you don't align that internal stuff out of back way, it is going to shift whatever you are doing.
Hmm. Mhm.
So you have to work both sides. You have to do the inner work. You have to do the outer work. And that works with getting an administrative professional who understands what you are going through and is there to help you, remind you that you need to take a break. Have you drank water? Like, literally the basics. And if you're not at that place, if you don't have the space to bring on a secondary human to help you do that, then you have to do it. You have to become your own charismatic leader
Yeah.
and friend. When you do that, if you're not at a place where you can just jump right onto Erin's site and start hiring her team, which if you are in a place, go do that. If you are not, simply choosing this, simply choosing to come watch these videos, leaning into these trainings, coming and doing the weekly review in CARA Corner, doing the weekly unpack at the walk and talk, leaning into spaces that support this change internally will get you to a point where you can bring on that staff, because suddenly you are aligned. Suddenly you are productive and not just performative. Suddenly things are working and you're doing less and achieving more. And you deserve that.
We all do.
Yes, the
Let's
world
build it.
deserves that.
Let's build it. Let's make it. Let's create that.
Yeah. We are. We are.
It's
This
good
is
stuff.
wonderful. Thank you. I know this is totally self-satisfying for me. I hope you also enjoyed it.
Yes. I hope the audience enjoyed it too. They
Also,
didn't,
we
they were
hope you
left.
guys enjoyed it. Yeah. And if not, scroll on. You know what? Or leave a really nasty comment. That's great for the algorithms. We're not going to
True.
respond to you if you're nasty, but please interact. I love that. Hate on me all you want, because the algorithm loves that interaction.
Yes. Uh,
And on that note, we're going to go to Q&A. Let's see if I... boop, boop. Okay. We're no longer recording. That was fun. Thank you.
Still says it's streaming.
Yeah, I'm probably still going live on
Yeah.
YouTube.
On the U of Tube. Yeah.
If they're watching, that's cool. They can hang out with us during the Q&A.
It's awesome.
You want to
Thank
see
you
my
so
space?
much. Yeah. Heck yeah.
I took everybody on a tour earlier. I don't know if it'll track that on the YouTubes, but I'm actually really excited. So this is the yard. Come on, turn around. There we go. Nope. Push the button. There it is. So we're staying with my friend Tana and Damien, and they have this gorgeous yard that we're going
A
to do some
beautiful
major
space.
remodel and makeup. It's gorgeous. And look at how these flowers have look at this, all just covered in dandelions. I love it so much. So we're going to work on that as our trade for staying here. Here's our little house on the side. Walk around this way.
Huh?
Here's one of the house cats.
And how long are you guys going to
So
be here?
here's our cute little tiny rig. Everything on this side is a mess because, we've only been in for a day, so we're settling everything. And all of this is going to go into a fairy garden over in Tana's hidden garden around the corner. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
My croquet set, yeah, the outdoor toys, the picnic set, all of that will get cleaned up. Leftover tiny human droppings. Okay. So the space starts immediately upon entering in. When the light hits it, this all rainbows, which is
Oh,
just delightful. And then our beautiful new entry mat rug. And on either side of the door, we have salt crystals
huh.
and our fancy rocks.
Love it.
Then our books, right? This is the wall of hurt feelings. My husband and I grab a book from in here and read a chapter so that we can have those important deep conversations without having to like have a fight in advance of it. Right. And then my OMSI, the TV. The boys are hanging out in there. The TV slash the spins around. So it's TV and my office.
Wow.
Then the
Oh,
living room.
this is
We're
amazing.
dealing with rocks today. This is going to be part of our chores because I love them and we collect them and we have too many.
Are there such things as too many rocks?
I don't know. These are the
Oh,
most shiny ones.
yeah.
These are our collected ones. Yeah. Then we have our burnables, more books. We have decoratives and more books. We have characters, more books, like you do. So this is our first entry lounge. When there's not rocks, there's quite a bit of sitting floor space. That is the other lounge, which is completely coated with stuff as we are trying to settle our way back in. The bathroom. Oh, you're not mine. Sassy. I am so in love with this space as it's developing.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
We're gonna have all kinds of plants up on this wall. They'll
Yeah.
all get replanted and brought up. We have
Huh?
sun lamps, and you just sit in here, when the laundry is done, and just bask. It'll make a great place for doing videos.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the toddler space. We'll start down here. So he has his own kitchen. He has his own bookshelves, game stations,
Amazing.
anything
Yeah.
snuggles with the cat. Do I have the stick?
Cozy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Ha, there we go. This is his upstairs space. So he has his trains back there, his
Yeah.
space. He's got his farming all through here, his Legos. This is his Liam's neighborhood. He puts together whole little neighborhoods, and all of his little guys come out and
Oh my gosh.
play.
I would love this if I was like 5. That would be so cool. Where are those?
So this is where he is king of the world and he controls everything.
Yeah.
And then this is his practicing the day-to-day humaning
Oh,
stuff.
man.
So I love it. And then back around to the kitchen. I have our copper kitchen. We've painted everything in matching colors of copper. This beautiful copper kitchen.
Yeah.
This is my cleaning system. I am such a nerd. No surprise to anyone here. So I discovered how to science my cleaning in less space. This is Castile soap, right?
Okay.
This is vinegar,
Okay.
and this is water. So Castile and water, you spray it on, it does its soap thing, which is what cleans things. You soap and you scrub, right?
Okay.
Vinegar breaks Castile soap down to its base ingredients. So it completely dismantles it. So you spray the vinegar on top of this, and now it's just water. And then you
Yeah.
rinse it away with water. And it comes away like polished and clean
Whoa.
and shut. Yeah. And
Whoa.
that was an entire meal of
Yeah.
water. Like next to nothing.
Super compact.
My new favorite hack. Isn't that great?
Whoa.
And they look cute. And it smells good.
Is it yeah, living with less and just mm-hmm.
I love it. I
Mm.
love it. I get that this is not everyone's idea of success. Like I get it. However, it's good. And people I know, my clients, so many of them are because I'm lucky. I get to work with these incredible women like you, just super successful, even if we don't think of ourselves as super successful people. And they have big, huge houses with pools and cabana, and they're like, they walk into this space and they're like,
That'd be nice.
I could do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not the
Literally,
big space. Mm-mm. The only big space that I want is a castle.
Yeah, as long as I have the staff to take care of it, because I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, I love our space. I'm obsessed when it's clean. Sorry, everybody
Small
watching, that it's not
spaces are
tidy right
easier
now.
to clean. They're easier to clean. The little spaces
Yeah,
are. It doesn't take you 5.5 hours to go through and like baseboards and good heavens, like
I
oh
can wet wipe my entire house and every single thing in it in under 2 hours.
yeah, that's so
And
much
that's
more
with it with a
comfortable.
mess right now.
It's so much
Yeah.
more comfortable. Mm,
Okay.
wow. And how long are you guys going to be there?
So that's a great question that I don't have an answer to just yet. What I know um, is that we are technically not intending to go to Lost Valley until June when the holistic semester starts. So conceptually, we're here April and May and doing yard stuff. However, uh, no surprise to the people who know me, I'm on the fringe of even the fringe. And in having these conversations with the eco villages, I don't fit into any
Wait,
of their
really?
preset boxes.
No
Yeah.
way.
So I fit with them and they want me there. And there's absolutely a path forward, but figuring out what that path it is a hot mess because I'm clearly not really an intern. Like I'm coming in with too many skills to come in and intern. And we're not staying long enough to apply for membership. Um, and while actually it would be great because I would fill the position that they had come open and I could get hired by the team, that's not necessarily the direction that we're committed to. So I'm not a student, I'm not an intern, I'm not a member. And those are the buckets they have for people coming.
Well, you
And
just
I don't
learned some
fit
valuable
into.
information for yours.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I already knew first and foremost there had to be like campsites and hotels on the space because people are going to want to come
Yeah,
for
and
all
just
kinds of
chill.
different reasons.
Yeah.
Yes. So, we absolutely know that there's a place and that we are going forward. We have no idea what that looks like. It currently, we're figuring out when in the next
You
in
just
this
crash the
month can
party.
we get down there for a week to go just be there for a week
Yeah.
and meet everybody and they
You
can
just
meet me.
crash the party and be like, I'm here, cool, I'm gonna just chill.
Yes. So what is our path forward and how do we make this happen? Let's do
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Which I think is really, really valid on their end too. You met me, so we met online and then we met in person and I'm I am who I am in both locations, but that's not always true for people. But like the vibe is very different in real life. And I get that. So wanting to meet me so they can be like, oh, you're just,
The same.
this is you. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense for me that they would want to know that because I'm terrifying to them. Like legitimately equal parts excited and equal parts scared because I am the unknown. Which
That is so bizarre to me. Oh my gosh. Wow.
par for the course in my life, yeah. So I'm too corporate for the woo-woo world and I'm too woo-woo for the corporate world. And this is why we do woo-woo corp. I literally have to make my own place in this world because clearly I belong everywhere but don't fit in very many places.
I'm legit just like baffled by that because that shouldn't be the thing, but whoa,
But also it tracks.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, because I have the same problem, it's just a thing.
And I think that goes to the conversation we had, right? Is there a place for everybody to follow their passion, their dream, and succeed? Yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean that that place exists already? No. No, you may actually have to go create that. Yeah. Because the
Man,
places that exist for the things that are already there.
yeah.
And that's awesome. So go make a new place like
Dang.
this.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. Uh,
Oh,
talk,
you are
speaking of
tracking
real
all of this,
behaviors I
right? You're
existed.
telling all these
I am.
stories live, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And discussing it, writing them down, figuring out
Because it'll
how
be
to
a book by the
communicate
time
it.
you're done. I mean, not only that, it'll be a podcast, it'll be a curriculum, it'll be, I mean, so many different things by the time you're done with it.
Yeah. Yes. That's the goal. Already, just this portion of it, leaning from doing it myself in the corporate space to like that space where you move from this is what I've been saying for over a decade that I'm doing to a fact that I am doing it
The
has
follow
been
through on that, ugh, wild.
big shift in my existence. Yeah, so I've already, the book is called Insultingly Simple. The keynote is called Insultingly Simple, aka The Hardest Work of Your Life. And the workbook is called The CARA Method's Work of Life.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's what I am learning, that all of this is ridiculously simple, insultingly simple, and not at all easy. Like everything I wanted.
Yeah.
So I should be smiling more, except it's
Yeah. This is that disconnect between the belief system and the actions and the routines. Yeah. Yeah.
and especially when we have been groomed and conditioned to believe that the other way is the way, doing what we actually want, boy, it just causes havoc in our brain
Yeah.
pans.
Yeah. Well, and because you're also adhering to routine and the structure and the desire for stability, all of that stuff on the bottom, right? And
Hmm.
that when that all gets shaken up, it takes an extra energy and adapting, and there's a whole bunch of things at play there.
Yeah.
This the same psychiatrist, psychologist person yesterday. Um, she's like, your brain is 2% of your body weight and requires 20% of your calorie intake
Uh, that
at
legit
rest.
tracks.
At
Mhm.
rest,
Rest.
not when you're not thinking,
I
just to keep your
feel
body
like I should be
functioning.
skinnier.
I know. And so the joke was is like people with anxiety and panic, like I just but yeah, that it requires 20% of your calorie
Yeah.
intake. And she was like, that's why athletes struggle with some forms of intelligence because their bodies are burning the calories and their brain is last, like it doesn't get the calories that it needs in order to go, like you're not eating enough in order to feed both body and brain.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, that's like
Yeah. Literally, I don't know how
staring
many
at a
times
wall
I
and
have said,
thinking.
have you just tried turning her off and turning it back on? Literally take a nap. Just shut your eyes for 1 minute. Sit still for 60 seconds with your eyes closed. Watch your whole day change.
Mhm.
Also, it took me practice to be able to sit still with my eye closed for 60 seconds. It's 60 seconds. That sounds like an easy amount. I made it 10 the first time before my brain was like, you should be doing something.
Yeah, all the internal thoughts of things. That's where that recovery piece comes in because it's not recovery doesn't have to be complicated. It could be just 60 seconds.
Literally so fast.
But if
Yeah.
you're not intentional, it's
And
not
if
you
you
can sit
are
there with your eyes
programmed,
closed. Mhm.
mhm,
You can yell at yourself for 60 seconds and it's not the same thing.
and that's 100% what I was doing when I first started. At like 10
Yeah.
seconds, I could get a quiet, like literal relax where my brain, and then all of the mind monsters were like, why aren't you doing things? You're unproductive. Your family's going to starve. You're not going
Uh,
to have anywhere to live. Nobody's going to like you. Oh, Jesus, guys.
uh.
Really?
Do we have to
All I
right
wanted was 60 seconds. Okay, let's try this again.
now? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Intrusive thoughts, all the internal monologue. Yeah, it's insultingly simple.
And usually the hardest work of your life.
Mhm. Mm. Oh my gosh, I adore you.
I adore you. I can't wait till we are on stage next to each other, one keynote after the other. That'll be fun.
Light things on fire. Oh, it's gonna be so good. All right, you.
Okay. I love you.
You are amazing. Mwah.